Hey everybody, welcome to the Raw Report, episode 44. I am your host, Jericho, along with my co-host, the Bolivian Siberian, Andre P, and Mr. Bone Santana himself. And before we get started, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment. We've been gone for a little bit, and we're back again. Guys, fantasy football playoffs is in full effect. All right, I know yours truly definitely clinched in a few leagues. Andre, I know you're in limbo in some of them. All right, maybe one or two. I know you seeking a clinch in the Polo League, the prestigious Polo League. Bones, you just clinched the prestigious Polo League, and it should be an interesting series of events here going into the playoffs, going into week 14. All right, so it's been very exciting. Dre, sorry to disappoint you, buddy, but I couldn't get that W against Las Vegas. Vegas fans over there.
It's all good, man. It's all good. You had one job. Bones had one job. He did his job, but he couldn't get it done. It's all good.
Don't
I was
include
1-7. 1-7. And by some miraculous feat, the fantasy football gods decided to shine a little light on me. Came back to 5-8. And I am hoping my players score 372 points this week. And the person that is ahead of me loses and also scores a combined total of 24.5 points. And then maybe I clinch.
That's cute. Let me tell you a real comeback story.
Oh, God.
Your boy, last episode, was in 10th place, faltering. It looked dark. It looked bleak. Pretty much like Andre's life and his future.
Yeah.
But then I sacrificed the Bolivian goat. It took some calls, but this is Miami, and I was able to get it done. And the gods have smiled upon this sacrifice. And now I sit in 3rd place in the league that once banned me because I was too great. My balls were too big.
And your pockets were too empty.
Come on, man.
And your pockets were too empty.
All of this
I would scream.
Funds.
I would scream, speak when you're spoken to, but I am speaking to you. So I will allow this interference.
It was
Andre.
a blasphemous attempt, and the integrity of the league was compromised by your lack of competence. Therefore, you were banned accordingly for several years, several decades, if it was up to me. But we allowed you back in, and we gave you a 14th place participation trophy presented to you at this year's draft. So please.
Why? Because Damar Hamlin won me a ring on my first year back.
Never.
It's in the books. It's for.
You've never
it's in my
won a
phone.
Polo League
The
championship.
the asterisk next to your name is bigger than your actual win. Okay.
The last
You've
time
never won a Polo League title. Don't even kid
You
yourself.
have never won a Polo League title.
Never.
The last time.
I even spoke to Mr. Yahoo himself. He said, no, Bones did not win.
The last time.
And I don't think, and honestly, truth be telling here, I don't think you'll ever win a title. I think you have a better chance of having 3 kids than to win one Polo League title right now.
Ooh, let the gods hear you and jinx you. Let me tell you something.
Not me. I already won my ring. I've been to the finals 3 times.
Bones, this guy right here in my background has a better chance of walking free tonight than you do of winning a league again. This guy right here, look, you see this guy right here? This guy right here has a better chance of walking out of prison right now, walking into Tootsie's and just having an order of a dozen lemon pepper wings than you do, winning the league.
And a massage on the second floor. Watch out now.
Let me tell both.
Sponsored by Robert Kraft.
Listen, all I know is that Dre.
The last time men of power, such as ourselves, conspired against one man. You know what that man ended up being? Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus, first emperor of Rome. And that will be my destiny and road in this league. I will dominate for years to come. And all of you will hate me for it. But that's fine.
Listen, you just barely scraped the barrel making the playoffs in the Polo League, all right?
Hey,
so we'll see what happens.
In the words of one of the greatest TV actors, TV characters, in history. What does he say? False.
Listen, all I know is, Dre, you need a W this weekend to perhaps make it back your triumphant return to the Fantasy Cup, the prestigious Fantasy Cup that takes place once every 2 years in RFS. The last Fantasy Cup was won by Mr. the Bolivian Siberian over here representing the Bolivian Americans here. And it was a prestigious award as becoming the first ever Fantasy Cup champion along with the Polo League champion. So
Too
congrats
easy.
to
It was too.
Dr.
It was
Dre.
too easy. Too easy.
Listen, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you, Andre.
Yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. Bones, don't speak. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Moving along, guys. It is bye week hell, fellas. There is a ton of superstars on the bye week.
Indeed.
And it just so happens to be our final week in the regular fantasy football season in all of our leagues. Next week, we'll be starting week 15, week 1 of the playoffs, if you can believe it. But as like I mentioned, final week of the season, the regular season for us.
Yeah.
And you have all these bye week players just sitting on your bench. I know a lot of guys in our league are going to be compromised or hit with a $10 penalty because they will not drop those superstars, especially heading into the playoffs and especially going into the Sacco bracket for some of you guys. So it's gonna be crazy week, man. Who are the some of the notables here?
No, I mean the biggest name is probably Lamar Jackson, right? He's I think second in points in fantasy, first or second in points. So you got Lamar out, then you have keeping it on the Ravens, King Henry, Mark Andrews has bounced back from a slow start this season. Zay Flowers, all the Ravens, and the Texans, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, also heavy hitters. Jonathan Taylor, pretty much the only name in Indianapolis. And then your Washington Commanders were taking a break this week from kicking ass. So Jaden Daniels, dual threat quarterback, fantasy gold right there. Scary Terry putting up huge numbers this past week, also on a bye week. So it's rough pickings out there. If you need to go hit that waiver wire hard. If you did not scoop up anyone good, there's still some few flyers out there.
One of the best pickups who was available in most Yahoo leagues was that receiver from Tennessee that always finds the end zone, Westbrook. How do you say his second part of the last name?
No, Westbrook I would like 9. For you to say it. Can you please say it? Yeah, go ahead.
Westbrook 9.
Yeah, Westbrook 9. Yeah, let's roll with that.
We'll go with that.
No, he's a good pickup. Will Levis, Mayo Levis is liking him. Mayo Levis liking him out there.
That commercial out of nowhere, but good for him.
Hey man, if you got it, flaunt it. Use it to your benefit. Personally, I would never put mayonnaise in coffee, but that's just me.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough week for everybody heading into the playoffs. And for those that have been eliminated, au revoir. Try again next year. And good luck to everybody. We got some returning high rollers and some departures coming for the Polo League. It's going to be exciting nonetheless. I expect the triumphant return from a lot of guys back into the league, including Mr. Hugo and Mr. Flexico Burris. So stay tuned, guys. And what else can we talk about here, guys? Trevor Lawrence got a nasty hit this week. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. He was placed on IR with a concussion, and he's out for the season because the Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-10. Doug Peterson can expect to probably not have a job going into the next season, or probably towards the end of this season. They just didn't do anything this season. I was having high hopes for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But unfortunately, we have not seen Trevor Lawrence really take flight for the team, unfortunately. But he took a nasty hit this weekend. Very bad. And unfortunately, also the player was suspended for, 3 games?
Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that he only got suspended 3 games. Here, I'm going to say this now, and I'm a huge advocate for this to be implemented. However long the player that got hit dirty like that is out, is the same amount of time that the player who did the hit needs to be out. Done.
Ooh.
No exception, no excuses, no rebuttals, no nothing. Right? He was going down. It was a terrible hit. He only got suspended 3 games, and then you have players being suspended for a full season for gambling. You have players being suspended for 2 games, 3 games for something like domestic assault. Players are getting caught with DUI, and then they're letting the legal part happen first before the league decides. But a hit like that in front of all those fans, in front of the rest of your teammates, it's a dirty hit. You should be out for the rest of the season as long as Trevor Lawrence is out.
That's a bold punishment. Yeah.
The punishment fits the crime.
I get you. I mean, it was a dirty hit. I heard, like I read on Twitter today that he's not going to be appealing that 3-game suspension. Even though it
It's
is
a slap on the wrist for me. Yeah.
basically, but especially for that team. But let's see how that goes. Let's see how the league, takes that on as it moves as we go forward. Because you're right, the disparity in what constitute a big punishment or suspension, regardless of your crime in the NFL, is lacking.
It makes sense. Common sense. It doesn't make. No, not at all.
I
And
honestly think
yeah.
I honestly think that what made the situation worse is that Mr. Al Shair, right? He basically incited a fight after the fact. So, in my opinion, I mean, you can make mistakes. The quarterback was sliding into the ground. If you're running full speed, it's definitely really hard to break yourself before that slide even happens, right? Especially with these dudes, they run at full speed anytime they're on the field. However, once the play was over, he proceeded to grab another player by the face mask and pull him towards the ground. And so his behavior was very insightful as to incite some mayhem on the field. And I think that the NFL took a look at that and said, absolutely not. So they're definitely looking to suspend them for multiple games. And that sucks for the Texans because I think they're in balance to go to the playoffs. But nonetheless, there's no room for Bush League tactics in the NFL in today's game, at least. So he's going to have to suffer the consequences for that. And, the other part of the controversy here is that Deontay Johnson refused to go into the game this week for the Ravens. So now the Ravens are looking to suspend him as well. And which doesn't make very, very much sense considering that the Ravens don't have a very strong receiving core. All right, so they could use the help, especially Lamar Jackson, but I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe he just doesn't want to risk it before he gets a brand new deal, but he just did not want to be out there.
I don't know, man. That shit kind of upsets me, because you're in the position that thousands are just dying to be, and you refuse to go because what? You can't keep your emotions in check for whatever reason. So if it were up to me, this suspension is truly a slap on the wrist. I would release you just to send a message that 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 crybaby shit just don't fly around. At the end of the day, this is your job. It's a profession. And not only are you letting yourself down, as your name, brand, and as an individual, but you're also letting your team down. And I would release him immediately. I'll eat that dead cap. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean it's a problem. It sets a bad tone for the rest of your team. You're like, hey, we traded for you. Maybe you're not up to speed with our schemes, with our plays, or
then don't suit up.
or it may mess up the chemistry. That's something you also have to consider. Once you build a chemistry, Lamar Jackson is throwing for more touchdowns now than he has in his previous career. Throwing, not running for him, but he's throwing for these touchdowns. He has, I think, less than 5 interceptions, and I think all of them were on the receiver, like fumbling the ball. He's playing excellent football, so why would you mess that up? Deontay Johnson's there. He's learning the playbook. He needs to act right, man. That's a winning culture over there in Baltimore. A no nonsense head coach in Harbaugh, and you're gonna act like a fool like that? I mean, come on. If this was Pop Warner, if this was even high school football and you throw a tantrum, I get it, but nah, not in the pros.
Well, one of our guys in our leagues right now just picked up Brandon Cooks. Straight donations.
Hold on.
That boy picking. That boy picking. Woo!
Hey, if he builds some rapport with Cooper Rush back there, I mean, it's possible.
Come on.
He had a touchdown. I think he had a touchdown this past game. Like maybe four receptions. I think, yeah. Not a bad pickup because of bye week hell again. You know, you have some of these receivers are out. You got to throw a flyer out there. That's a flyer.
That's a Jameis pass. I pray to God that he delivers me from these pick sixes.
Hey, don't mess with my FSU boy
Jameis,
right there.
Jameis is the player of the year. Just off
Jameis is
these
the
lines
character
alone.
Of the year.
Dude, he doesn't feel right. He doesn't feel right unless he's throwing a pick, guys. Jesus Christ.
This is the same man that had 30 touchdowns with 30 INTs to match for a season.
I saw his first game as a Buck. He left FSU. He won a championship. I went to Florida State, so obviously, that's.
Nobody asked you, Andre. Yeah. Nobody asked.
So I see his first game. I think he was on the 7 or 8 yard line in his own field. Very first NFL pass, pick 6, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is what it's gonna be like." Because he likes to throw the damn ball way too much, and he gets cocky. But you can't hate the guy. You can't hate the guy, man.
Listen, he definitely uplifted the Cleveland Browns because they were suffering with Deshaun Watson's boring ass.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's just a creep. He made everybody uncomfortable, and he didn't even want to lead the team, okay? Jameis comes in here with his comedic relief. He throws 2 pick sixes, and he barely gets a win. So, I mean, you can't hate the guy, you know what I mean?
No, he throws for 500 yards. He throws for 500, 400 yards, and the Browns still lose, bro. It
sounds like Joe Burrow out there in Cincinnati having a near MVP season out there in Cincinnati and still losing game. Jamar Chase putting up points. I have the Joe Burrow, Jamar stack on my team. Unfortunately, they popped off a little too late, but they're fantasy gold right now.
Listen, speaking of fantasy gold, we got a few clinchers and a few teams that have already been eliminated from playoff contention. All right, so it's time to get the pickings in early because there's a lot of teams here that have been done outstanding throughout the season. The Buffalo Bills, one of the first ones to clinch. Not only did they clinch, they also clinched the division. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs also managed to clinch the playoffs. We got the New York Giants, the Vegas Raiders, and the New England Patriots officially eliminated from ever making the Super Bowl. And we got a few dark horses probably coming in, going into the playoffs. But we got a good selection out here to choose from. All right. So without further ado, Bones, let me get your AFC, NFC pick.
Oh, okay. Dark horse. The AFC. Baltimore Ravens.
Dark horse, Baltimore Ravens?
Yes.
Okay. 8-5, second in the AFC North.
And then NFC would be the Cheeseheads out in Wisconsin, Packers.
I like that. I like that pick.
I like the Packers pick.
It's kind of like similar to like last year. Yeah, okay, the Packers are making the playoffs. All right, cool. They're gonna go in, but they're not really gonna win. And then Jordan Love turned into motherfucking Brett Favre out there. So let's see if Jordan Love is just riding the season and waiting to turn it up in the playoffs because he almost had it last year.
Nah, hey, you know what? I agree completely with the Packers pick as a dark horse out there, right? You have your favorites, Detroit, Philly, Minnesota's right there, 10-2. Could overtake Detroit for the number 1 seed. But Green Bay, I mean, besides I just named the 3 teams, the 3 heavy hitters in the NFC North. Chicago, unfortunately, is not there. Same division, right?
Same division.
3 teams from the same division making it is very impressive. But the Packers, right? Same coach, very, very, very smart coach. They got a stud running back in Josh Jacobs if he keeps going, right? Jordan Love, another year in the same system. The receivers just got to catch the ball and be consistent out there, and that defense needs to stop, giving up so many points, and they could surprise people in the playoffs. Another surprise in the NFC, maybe sounds biased, but Washington out there, right? Washington, just fun to see, just a fun team to watch, fun team to see win, score points. They scored 42 points again this past week, tying their season high. I think all last season they scored 40 maybe once. So they're balling out right there in Washington.
Here you go, bro. Cheers to you having a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, it's about damn time. About damn time.
Last one was what? Turco or RG?
I think Uncle Rico. So that said, AFC pick, yeah, Baltimore, pretty obvious. I love them. Unfortunately, I like the Chargers, man. I like the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh's a great coach. They lost J.K. Dobbins, though. If they didn't lose J.K. Dobbins, he was lighting it up this year. So that's all. I'm a little hesitant on that. But Herbert's playing how he needs to play. He's not flashy. He's not scoring, throwing 400 yards like previous seasons, but he's getting the job done. He's making the smart plays. He's got a little more dirt underneath his fingernails this season. So it's grind, it's gritty, but the Chargers could make some noise in the playoffs, could sneak a win.
I'm on it right now. He's gonna get undone by Bo Nix. He's gonna get undone by Bo Nix.
He's a rookie quarterback, but I like it. I like Bo Nix out there.
He's gonna get undone by Bo Nix. Watch.
So I like the Green Bay Packers, as you guys mentioned earlier. I don't see anybody from the NFC South or NFC West doing very much. So I think it's between the Commanders and essentially the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings on this one, even though I do like Green Bay.
That's a great pick because no one saw Minnesota doing this when their first round pick went down, quarterback.
Unfortunately, Green Bay is third in their division. They would have to duke it out with the Minnesota Vikings, which on paper they have a way better team. And I think essentially the division is going to be up for grabs between Detroit and Minnesota. So Green Bay is doing a great job. They're 5-2 at home, 4-1 away. They haven't won the important games very much. They lost 2 division games, 3 conference games, so I don't really see them qualifying very far. All right, and the AFC, I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, because nobody was expecting Russell Wilson to come in and do damage with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've been gradually getting better as the season has progressed. As you guys know, Mike Tomlin has basically never had a losing record since he's been the Steelers head coach. And he also has 2 great quarterbacks on his team. So all the moving pieces around them, I don't know how they've done it. They've been able to piece it together. I think everybody expected the Baltimore Ravens to do excellent, and they have not, even though they have Derrick Henry. Okay, but as I mentioned earlier in the show, their receiving core is not that great. So it's going to take a big push for them to get in there. And I have to agree with Andre. I like the Chargers. But the way that Bo Nix is playing right now, they could very well get derailed. So I'm not gonna count them in just yet. That's definitely gonna be a direct battle. I mean, they're almost exact on paper. Their home games, their away games, it's almost the exact same thing. So don't knock Bone's prediction here that Bo Nix might derail that entire that entire trajectory.
They could, man. They could. Bo Nix is exciting to watch. He's right there, behind No Diddy, Jaden Daniels in the Rookie of the Year, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award. So that's exciting to see.
Speaking of NFL Rookie of the Year, I believe this honorable mention for AFC Dark Horse is way better than my original Baltimore pick, and that's the Houston Texans. And
Trash.
CJ Stroud had his moments in the playoffs last year, and
and he's having the slumps of all sophomore slumps this year.
Nico Collins is back. Joe Mixon is
he's balling. Joe Mixon's balling,
out, and it's the AFC South, so they're gonna go in. They're making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, they're in regardless.
They're making the playoffs, so they could be a better dark horse than my original pick of Baltimore. But let's see how it goes. 5 more weeks to go. 5 or 6. This is what, week 12?
And we're in week 13 14. Currently, going into week 14.
Yeah, week 4. We're in week 14.
And as we're going into week 14, the Kansas City Chiefs have clinched the playoff berth at 11-1. I don't know how they haven't clinched the division just yet. I mean, I don't see anybody beating the Kansas City Chiefs. They want to go for another title run.
No, technically the Chargers could win out and the Chiefs could lose out.
Maybe.
No, that's statistically that's the only way.
But all I know is that the Philadelphia Eagles going to the playoffs. Ain't no doubt about that, baby.
Who? Listen, I want to say the 3 main running backs, as you guys know, the running back position has been a topic of conversation as a devalued position in the league. Am I right? For the past couple of years, people have been devaluing.
I would say that's correct. As a longtime commissioner for a decade now, the stock of the running back position has completely plummeted over the last 5 years.
Yeah, especially in PPR leagues, guys. We've gotten used to it.
But now, great examples. Green Bay Packers, why they're doing so good. Josh Jacobs. Philadelphia Eagles, why they're not hitting a slump? Because they found Superman in Saquon Barkley. All right. And washed, no knees, too many miles. Derrick Henry, rejuvenated in Baltimore. These 3 guys by themselves have skyrocketed the stock on running backs because all those guys didn't go top 5. None of them went top 5. No one was really high on those guys because of, they've had, great players, but on bad teams, they weren't putting up numbers.
Well, Saquon also had like some injury concern. New team, Jalen Hurts with the tush
Derrick
push.
Henry had the same concern.
Derrick Henry with the miles. Lamar Jackson,
was a talent,
you don't know how it's going to work.
Behind no O-line, look at him now.
Josh Jacobs, former rushing champion, new system, new team. Aaron Jones, there in Green Bay for many years was never a top 5 running back. He was consistent, but not considered a top 5 running back. So that was expected of Josh Jacobs, but that's also there. But if you want to talk about running backs, plural, that are dominating on one team, there's only one clear answer. The Detroit Lions with their 2-headed monster back there in Monty and Gibbs.
Who's leaving
Monty
first?
And Gibbs. Both of them. You could have both of them on your fantasy team and they'll each score you 15, 20 points. They're that good. So Detroit has the most solid running back core because of those 2.
Those people right there, that's your top 5 fantasy picks next year. Top 5. No receiver, no quarterback should enter.
Oh, no, man. Jamar Chase is
what?
Bro, look at his points.
And look at the first 7 weeks. Garbage. And then now. Whereas these guys have been consistent since day one.
That's why we start in our league, our prestigious Polo league. We start three wide receivers. One could have a bad week. You gotta make your picks wisely. Time it with the bye weeks. Make sure you don't end up in bye week hell.
Unless you're Hugo Chavez, 7 straight wide receivers to start.
7 wide receivers,
and he had a winning season.
He did.
But anywho.
Yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of our show here. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us in episode 44 I am your host, Jericho, along with my co-host, the Bolivian Siberian. It's Andre P. Perez and Bone Santana. And we'll see you on episode 45.
Wait. One moment, Jerry. One moment.
Oh my
What
God.
is that thing on your head? Because we have to bring that up. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if you found an old duster in the back.
This is the University of Miami orange wig right here. It's all about the U. Don't ever forget it. You FSU degenerate.
This is why you're
baby.
asking that ridiculous question. You don't watch college football because your team sucks this year.
Yeah,
They
no,
always suck.
You know what? Florida State is pretty ass this year. Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Don't ever forget it, Andre, who the king of Florida is.
But
Cam
let
Ward,
that be
Cam
the last
Ward,
time you
baby.
ever confuse me with that hairdo.
I'm just a chill guy.
I'm just a chill guy, Dr.
Hey,
Dre.
and some guys just like it raw.
Hey.
All right, fellas. Catch you on episode 45. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, hit the
Good
like button.
luck.
Follow us
Good
up.
luck.
Follow us on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. See you next time, fellas.